The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style. From the highs to the lows, every story just explodes. Mike's got questions on the go, diving deep from head to toe. Every week the guests align, sharing moments so divine. Stay with us, the pace is fine. Every episode you'll find. The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style.
Seb Burritt, neighborly Seb Burritt. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
I used to think that Seb had something, it was just a nickname for you, but then I was told it stands for Sheldon Earl Burritt.
Errol Burritt.
Okay, very good.
Sheldon Errol Burritt, S-E-B.
S-E-B. And the Burritt name, I drive by Burritt Road every single day I go to work. Your name is synonymous with Hilton history. I'm just going to give you an open-ended question and talk to me a little bit about your birth, your parents, your siblings, and your overall history in the village of Hilton.
I can do that. I started my life on 126 East Avenue, right next to the Lutheran Church. A few years ago, like 82 years ago, soon to be. That's where I started my life. And I used to go 2 steps across Pastor Boriak's lawn, and I'd go to the Lutheran Church, and that's where I went to kindergarten. I was just right across the neighborhood's lawn, and I was at kindergarten at the Lutheran school. From that point on, my dad had a business in the village. It was the Hilton City Service Station on South Avenue, pretty much where the post office is today. It backed up to the Hart store. Orban Hazel Kenyon ran the Hart store back then. And then we moved above the Hart store for a short period of time. And I helped my dad when I was younger at the gas station. And then we moved down to South Avenue a little bit farther, just past Hazen Street, in a big house. And we spent most of my time there. But I'd get up in the morning and I would go open up the gas station for my dad because he drove school bus. And when my dad finished the runs, he'd come back, and then I was supposed to go to school, but I always had to stop at the pleasure shop in Hilton where Archie Wilkins ran it, and I'd have to have my hot chocolate and eggs and toast before I went to school, and I was always late, but I got away with it. And yeah, pretty much that's I got away with a lot in school, to be honest with you. But so that was the beginning. The gas station, of course, my dad played for the Hilton Peaches, which was a semi-pro baseball team. And I can remember when we were on East Avenue, my mother would make me take naps before the games, and then we'd go down to the game on South Avenue, down to the carnival grounds. And we'd take a board and climb up on top of the stand where they serve beverages and stuff, and we'd watch from on top of the stand there and watch my dad and a lot of the old timers that lived in Hilton. My Uncle Bill Farr played for the Hilton Peaches, and my grandfather Burritt did as well. So baseball was big in my family at the time. My dad played first base. Then from South Avenue, we moved up to Parma Center Road, and I finished. That's where my senior year, I graduated. We had the farmhouse on Parma Center Road, and I drive the tractor to school because I couldn't get a license at that point yet. So I thought I was pretty hot stuff driving to school on an old tractor. And Bruce Hilton, of course, was the ag teacher at the time, and I thought I was a big shot. But yeah, then I graduated, and we had probably one of the biggest parties. Everybody, my class, were all invited, turned their keys in, and people like Janie Suarez, Janie Wright, George Wright's wife, she was the school nurse. A lot of the teachers pitched in and came to help my mother make breakfast and everything for us. And my class just had a good time all night. It was all safe, and yep. And then I started working in the city for Rochester Graphic Arts, and I just bought a 1964 Chevy, which was a pretty nice car. And I used to park it in the first barn. But this one day I chose to drive it. I used to ride to work in a Corvair with Tommy. Forget the name now. But anyway, we'd ride in that Corvair to work. But this one day I chose to drive my 64 Chevy. And after work, I was coming home, and I got the Parma Center Road in Hilton Parma Corners Road in Parma Center, and the road was shut down. And come to find out, the barns burnt down that day. And my younger brother, and a neighborhood boy, my grandmother Sheldon, was babysitting them, and they were out in the barn playing. And my brother Kim come back in the house, and he says, "Grandma, we had a fire, but it's out now." And then when she looked outside, all the barns were burning, and it melted the aluminum siding on the back of the house. But my dad happened to be fire chief at the time, so that was a big deal. And there's a picture in the history books of him and Bobby Crowley standing out in the rubble, and all the barns gone, because Bobby used to rent and bring his cattle over and harvest hay and stuff. So yeah, that was a great day.
Ugh,
Yeah,
hardly.
yeah. And there's a picture of my dad and him standing there in the rubble. But thank God I drove my car that day. So yeah. And from that point on, I worked for my dad. I tried to enlist in the Navy to follow in my brother Steve's footsteps, but I got turned down. And then I got drafted, and I rode to Buffalo from Rochester. We all met in Rochester, rode to Buffalo, and I was the only one sent home. I couldn't pass the physical because of asthma and both my knees from injuries in soccer. So after a short period, my dad got sick, and he ran the Atlantic gas station over on West Avenue and Main Street and Lake Avenue. That's where Hank Carter and Morris Van Dorn worked there. But my dad took it over, and it was called Atlantic Richfield. It was called Arco. And my dad ended up getting sick, so I had to take over the business. And my dad was laid up for about 2 years, and I helped my mother and my 3 younger siblings, my sister Christine, my brother Kim, and my brother Craig. And for 2 years, I was pretty successful at it. I did a lot of different things than what my dad would do, but we had probably 75% of the business in the Hilton area back at the time. And we had people like Gary Tabor. He worked for us, and Lenny Palmer. A lot of the young kids came and worked there. Bobby Elliott, Sheffield boys. There's just yeah, it was a great place. A lot of people would hang out there. Some of the old timers, Gordon Behringer would come down and sit on the bench. Duke Wolfram would come down and sit on the bench, and
Mhm.
we'd talk about everything. And then, of course, a lot of people back then didn't know about Gordon Behringer and what he was doing. You'd see Gordon for a while, and then he would be gone, and you wouldn't see him for a long period of time. Well, eventually, when Gordon retired, and then later on in life, it all came out. Gordon was flying over enemy territory in Europe, and he was reconnaissance. He was taking pictures. And it was very interesting, but nobody ever knew it. Not even he couldn't tell his family what he was doing back then. But after he retired and after everything came out, that's how I got the information what he did. So, and Nancy Behringer, his daughter, she graduated with me, um, but she passed away young from cancer. And then later on, of course, I got married to Terry, and we lived. That was 1964. We lived in the firehouse down. It's been torn down since, but it's down where the carnival grounds is. And of course, I happened to be there when the fire broke out, and I lived upstairs in the apartment with Terry, and that was quite a day back then. March 21st, 1965. And unbeknownst to me, we'd had our banquet there, the fireman's banquet, the night before. And of course, it was a late night. And after the party, I kind of cleaned up and stuff. And then I went up and went to bed, but it was a short night. And I woke up to the siren blowing on the top of the firehouse. And of course, I had a panel upstairs that I would answer calls from. But little did I know, Russell Wright was downstairs. He was coming to the village to open up the Tidal station. Uh, that's back when Jerry Ryan and Norm Wright had it. And of course, we had the gas station too. That's why I had to get up. But I couldn't figure out what was going on because Russell was downstairs on the mic, and he would key me out, and I couldn't tell. And I'm looking, I'm saying, "What's going on? What's going on?" Next thing I know, the guys are coming and jumping on the trucks, and I'm still in a fog, of course, from the night before. And before I knew it, there wasn't any trucks left there, and I found out what was happening shortly thereafter. So I had to run up to the fire on Main Street. And by the time I got up there, I could hear some ladies screaming. I can't remember the name. Mrs. Turgan was one of them, I believe. And George Edelman Jr. was coming up to work. And of course, that's all in the history books. And he went up inside above the pleasure shop, the post office, and all them things, and got people out as much as he could. And then he came down, and he had one lady out. She went back into, I believe she went in to get her bird, and she didn't make it back out. That was the one fatality at that fire. But when I was running up the street, you could hear people screaming, and that's when the explosion happened, and it knocked me right off my feet. And all I could hear was glass and everything. And of course, it blew the windows out across the street, like the candy kitchen, the Hart store, the barber shop. So it was quite a scene, and it took all day pretty much. That lots of fire companies, which you can find that out in the history books. It was a big, big fire, one of the biggest that I'd ever seen. So, in the meantime, it was a nasty day, and the Arlington Hotel would open up and feed the firefighters. And of course, the auxiliaries got together and helped feed the firefighters and stuff. But yeah, it was a long day. I can tell you one thing. the Ridge Road, Grease Ridge Fire Department had their platform parked out behind the IGA store, which the fire jumped over to. And they had the guys up in the bucket, the platform, spraying water down, hoping it wouldn't jump across the street there, but it did, and it got the IG going. And I can remember seeing the guys up in the platform, and all of a sudden the roof caved in and the fire was right underneath them. So they chose to move the truck with them up in there. They could have dumped them into the fire, but they managed to get them out from underneath. So yeah, it was a long day, and of course it walked its way right over to excuse me, East Avenue. And Bud Ingham lived in the next house, which today is now, it used to be the Monument Place, um, where Kelly's had it for a while. I guess now it's a coffee or a tobacco place right now. But that house, that's where it stopped, at the old firehouse. Excuse me.
No, take your time. I mean, it's so, well, it's chilling to talk to somebody who lived it, because I've seen pictures, but you were actually there. And when I hear things about, I didn't know there was a fatality. Also, the explosion. I know Candy Kitchen and everything. It said you knocked it off your feet.
Yeah.
I mean, how was the firefighters continue to battle all that blaze and?
Well, the explosion was
chaos?
called, they think, they never really came out with a real where it. They figured it started in the old furniture store, and of course you had Michael's furniture store, and then it became excuse
Maybe
me,
Marples? I don't know.
no, it was McNall's, and then
Okay.
Marples,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had, from that point on, you had the State Bank of Hilton next to that, and then you went east. You had Borelli's shoe store. Then you had the post office. Then you had RG&E offices. Then you had the pleasure shop. Then you had the used to be a jewelry store in Roblard's. And there was a barber shop at one time. And then it jumped the street. It went into the IJ store. And then Fred Adams had a dry goods store there. Then there was another beauty shop. And Paul Rude had a appliance store where he repairs stuff. And then you had the old fire hall.
I didn't even realize that there were so many businesses that you're mentioning, about the shoe store, the beauty shop, the IGA. It must have been awful for these business owners, besides the loss of life and the loss of the village culture at the time.
Sure. Well, there was houses actually too behind there that the Ways lived there. Jimmy Hawkins and his mother lived in the houses behind there. There was a garage behind there, but they all burnt. Yeah, it was something you'll never forget if you were there. So, yeah.
How did the, you mentioned things about the auxiliary showing up, Arlington feeding the fire. We all know, well, through our lifetime, you've lived a little bit longer than I have. How can you talk about how the community came together in spite of a tragic situation?
The community, I mean, it's unbelievable, because they had to move, like the bank had to burn, so the post office. But the community came together tremendously. I mean, like I say, the Edelmans at the time owned the old Arlington. And just you couldn't believe what the people did.
Mm-hmm.
And the firefighters, of course, they were sleeping on top of the trucks in the firehouse and everything. But yeah, the community came together, made the community stronger.
Who was your dad fire chief at the time?
No, Bill Howie.
Bill Howie?
Yeah.
Some of these names that you're throwing out, like Gary Tabor, I live down the street from him. Bobby Elliott, the Sheffield Boys. Gordon Behringer, that's a very interesting story.
That was.
Which ward was he taking reconnaissance?
I believe that was second.
Second?
Yeah.
And you said his daughter passed away early of cancer.
Yeah, Nancy.
Nancy. No.
But Nancy had another sister, and she had two brothers.
Mm-hmm. You wanted to serve. I mean, you wanted to. You were drafted in the Navy. What was it like when you found out that your body just wasn't up to serving?
I was just, everybody else was, they were leaving. That was the early part of Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to follow in my brother Steve's footsteps and try to get in the Navy. And of course, they turned me down. Then I got drafted, and I got turned down again. But it all turned out for a cause, because my dad got sick and I had to run the business.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
And it was, I'm going to say interesting, but I wanted to ask you a question about that. The business that your dad was running, that you ended up running for, I think, a couple of years, it was the Atlantic station?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's the old, it used to be, it's where 7-Eleven is today.
Okay.
Okay.
And what type of business did they do? I mean,
gasoline. We had 3 bays, mechanic. We did everything there.
Mm-hmm.
Tires, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, Gary Tabor, his father, there was 5 grocery stores in the village of Hilton.
Now there's like 10 pizza places.
Yeah. But Gary Tabor's father, Harold Tabor, ran the IGA store before Al Warden come to town. And then Gary had to move to Lockport, and his father ran a home up there, and Gary finished school there, but every weekend he'd come back to work at the gas station. And then when he graduated, he came and lived with us and worked with us. And then he went in the Army, but he always was around. Gary was always there. Lenny Palmer was unbelievable mechanic. And no, we had a lot of good people working for us. It was good business.
And you also said that you learned some things and you did things differently than maybe your dad would have. What did you mean by that?
Well, I built the business up a little more by getting in more into the tire business, taking on more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a good business going. But the problem there was, when my father came back, he says, "You want to take it over?" And I says, "Nope," because we didn't really own the building. We were taking care of the Clock family.
Mm-hmm.
They were the ones, John Clock, they owned the property, along with property in Churchville, where there's a gas station there. They owned the one up on the ridge in 259, which was a gas station. And then they had the gas station over in North Greece, Rowley's little, that was where Rowley Harris was. So I said, "No, Dad, I'm done. I want to move on." That's when I went to Kodak.
Okay. So just real quick, IGA, was that where the Big M ended up being, and where was the IGA? You were
right at where the bank is today. Is it M&T Bank?
Okay.
Right there on the corner. That was the IGA store.
Gotcha. So then you were talking about going into Kodak. So you never did any full college training, right?
No, sir.
So when you went into, what year was it approximately that you ended up going to Kodak?
I went into Kodak in I had 30 years in there. So, oh boy.
It's okay. But what was your job or jobs that you ended up doing?
They hired me to come in and work if the bus. Kodak had their own transportation, but unbeknownst to me, it was set up where they just walked me down to the firehouse, and I went in as a firefighter.
Okay.
Never worked on a bus the whole time. They had it all set up because my brother Steve was a firefighter at Kodak. And back in the day, we were the world's largest industrial fire department. There was 120 firefighters, 3 fire stations within Kodak Park.
Wow.
Yeah. No, that's back when you had 60 to 70,000 employees 24/7. This is just Kodak Park, not Elm Grove. And so, yeah, we had a lot of training with the city And we responded to the airport because we had more phone capacity than the actual airport did. So anytime a plane was coming in, we'd get toned out to respond there along with gates in the city to respond to the airport. We taught a lot of hazmat stuff because Kodak, the chemical division, there was a lot of things going on at Kodak back then. And I got to see it firsthand. Towards the end of my career, I became a fire inspector. And there wasn't a building in the Rochester area that Kodak owned. I was in a mall. I traveled. I had my own vehicle, go off plant, go to all the other places, because I'd have to go inspect with Factory Mutual, who insured Eastman Kodak Company. Interesting. I got to see so many things that most people would go in. They'd get in 2 or 3 different buildings, and that was their career there. I got to see it all. And they were the first to have digital. But the certain president and CEO decided, no, we're going to stick with film. So they blew a lot of things. So,
Right.
and I saw it firsthand, but who was I? Just a little firefighter.
So when you say see it firsthand, you saw maybe the degradation of the company when it went through, and
I got to see more different things that Kodak did.
yeah.
Right from DPI, where they made vitamins and food stuff that, excuse me, like I say, vitamins, but DPI made a lot of other food processing stuff. I saw, I saw that. The chemical division was 301, 234, 325. We actually had an explosion. That's a whole other story. Building 304 blew up. That was right on Mount Reed Boulevard. And believe it or not, we just come on duty. We responded there. And there was a gentleman that in building 304, a reaction had started. He ran out, and then he said, I got to go back in, as he's telling himself. He was going to try to stop the explosion from happening. There was a reaction in a vessel, but it didn't work. He got in there, and it blew up when he was in there. Years later, we saved the man. And I won't get into some of the stuff. He was burnt, and there was a lot of other issues, but we packaged him and got him, sent him to where Park Ridge is, and then they transferred him to Strong eventually. Just so happens about 5 years ago at my church, the Hilton Baptist Church, I'd been talking to a gentleman in there for 2 years, not knowing who I was talking to. And then one day, Pastor Dan asked this gentleman to get up and talk about his life and what happened. And all of a sudden, I see on the screen, and he's up there standing. Now, this is the gentleman that I'd been talking to, Greg Weller. And I just about went crazy. That's the gentleman that we pulled out of 304. And here I'd been talking to him. I immediately stood up and got involved in the conversation. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Quite a guy. He's got jokes like you wouldn't believe. Yes, he's burnt, scarred, but he's got a sense of humor. He's got a daughter. He got divorced after that because he was depressed and got into doing things, but he's back, and he's funny. He's a good man, and his daughter lives with him here in Hilton now. But here I'd been talking to him for 2 years. Never knew it.
And you saved him.
Well,
You had a hand in it.
yes. Bill Blood, one of the brothers. Yep. We got him out. And he's here to talk about it. So, yeah.
So with Kodak, you did a 30-year
Yes.
job with them.
Now, when I got out, I immediately started working for the Village of Hilton. That's the connection to the Village of Hilton.
Yeah.
And I've still employed with the Village of Hilton to this day.
Tell the audience what you do.
Well, I started out there in the year 2000. I did all the mowing. Every once in a while, I'd get involved in riding the back of the garbage truck. And as time went on, I was driving the loaders. I was helping them with the concrete work. Mainly, my job was mowing, and that keeps you busy. Excuse me again. And then in the wintertime, it started out as part time with the village. In the wintertime, I'd cross the street, go over to the town of Parma, work the night shift for the town of Parma, and call the guys in, plow the roads, and I'd go out and plow the roads with them. First, we were wingmen. Then, towards the end, they dropped all the wingmen, and there was just one guy. But I got to work for the town of Parma Highway Department. I left there about 3-4 years ago, and now I'm working at Bob Johnson Chevrolet delivering parts. But I still work for the village, just take care of the Jenny John Lodge to this day. So, been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I can't slow down. I got to keep busy.
No, keeps you young at heart, right? I mean, you've run across so many different people through your position at, running a business in the village, and then Kodak, and then going back to the village of Hilton, town of Parma. Tell me a little bit about your siblings, because before we came on air, I know the names and stuff, but
Yeah.
Tell our audience about where you rank in the order of the five.
Well, my brother Stephen, he went in the Navy, and then when he came out, well, he met a lady over in Scotland, Isabel Shepherd, and they got married and had a daughter, Heather. And then they ended up having a son, Ian, and they all lived in here. Steve worked at the gas station for a little bit. Then he went to Kodak, and he was a firefighter there, and he retired from there. And he worked down in Napa for a while, delivering parts. He putzed around, did a little this, a little of that. And then he just kind of semi-retired from that. His health went down, and so was Isabel's. Then myself, we just heard about me, and then I had a sister, Chris, my sister, Christine. She went to college down in Corning. Then she married Jim Scanlon, and they lived in the city. They lived in Arundecoit. Then they moved to North Carolina. Then Jim ended up getting a disease, and he passed away. But she had 4 kids: Toby, Jordan, Taylor, and Courtney. They all lived down there. Jordan is in the military. He's way up there in rank for the Army. He's traveled throughout the country. But my sister Chris, she lives to this day now in Wilmington, North Carolina, and she remarried Alan. And then I have my brother Kim. He was a carpenter for a while. Then he ended up at Kodak, and then Kodak sold a portion there, and he was working for Johnson and Johnson. And Kim lives in the Hilton. He had 2 daughters, and he worked for Johnson and Johnson. He retired. He was driving cars around here lately too, but he had 2 daughters. Boy, here I go.
You're pretty good remembering all these names.
Yeah, I know, but the kids now, it'll come back.
It'll come back
someday. But anyway, yeah, they're 2 beautiful daughters too, and he's got some grandkids. And he married Margaret, and they live on Hillside Drive. Then my brother Craig, where does it end with him? He worked at Kodak. Then he became a sheriff. One Bullet Barney, we called him. And he had a career with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. He's done a lot of other things since he retired. He worked security for the school. He has property up in the Adirondacks, several places that he's sold off. And I get into the names of his kids because he's got two boys. They were both Marines, and now they're both law enforcement. And then he's got a son-in-law that's a sheriff. So that's three law enforcement people right there. And the two girls, the twins, are married, and he's passed me now in grandchildren. I've got 11, he's got 12. So whatever,
Tell me a little bit about your children.
My children, I am blessed. I am blessed with the family that I have. My daughter Marcy has given me Bailey, Ellie, and Simon. Bailey lives in California. She's my oldest grandchild. Then Ellie, then Simon. And Ellie and Simon just got married last year. Then, let's see, my daughter Shelley, who lives in Newtown, Connecticut, Sandy Hook. I'm sure you all heard about Sandy Hook. She has 5 boys. Harry, Sammy, Charlie, George, and Peter. Harry just got married last year, and he's in the Marine Corps, and he's down on the border as we speak. And his wife, Gabriella, she just got her wings. She's in the Navy Air Force. She's got her plane that she wanted to be in. So she's in Florida, and he's down on the border in San Diego, Mexico. So, but like I say, I'm so blessed with my kids, now my grandkids. Then I've got Sarah, who teaches in Webster. And I have a granddaughter, Harper Jane Lee. And Harper Jane Lee is getting to be taller. And her father, of course, is Mike Lee, the mayor's son. And so, yeah. And then I go to my son, Kevin, who now has 2 children. We have Laney and Cohen. And his wife's name is Leah. And they live over on English Road in Greece. But Kevin works for the village of Hilton. So, yeah. And like I say, I'm blessed. I am blessed with what I have.
What was it like going? Well, first I'll go as a father. Like, what was it like raising? You had 2 older kids, and then you ended up taking 2 other kids, and so you're a little bit older raising Kevin and Sarah. What was that difference like?
Well, my first marriage, of course, was with Terry, and she gave me Marcy and Shelley. And Terry was a good mom. Yes, we had some issues, and we split. And then I met Kathy, and we had Sarah and Kevin. But in the end, Terry was always part of the family. And as far as being older, I can remember when I started, when Sarah was born, and I was working trick work, and Kathy worked at Kodak, and she was working trick work. I'd get out of the car in the morning from the C-Trick. She'd jump in the car, and I had 2 kids to take care of for the day. And that's back when night shift was 7 nights in a row. And the minute she'd get home, I'd eat and go lay down and get up at 11 and go back into work. That's how it worked. B-Trick, we'd drop sometimes over at my parents' place. or her parents' place in Greece when we were both working, and we'd pick them up, bring them home. So yeah, it was a challenge, but I don't regret any of it, none whatsoever. So yeah, it was a challenge, but I made it.
Well, I had Marcy on a podcast a while back, and she also echoed about um, Terry being very much involved in the new family, and she always was so appreciative of that. So that's great to hear. What's it like having these grandkids that? Because I know Simon's athletic accomplishments and others. You got um, kids in the armed forces with the. I mean, what it's got to give you a sense of pride.
Oh, no question about it. Simon, when it came to soccer, of course, his dad's Bill, his father's the coach at RAT soccer. But Simon, he set a lot of records here in Hilton.
Mm-hmm.
He took a year off and went and traveled around the country. But Simon, and now he coaches at St. John Fisher. And I guess last year he made a comment to his father, "We're going to beat you," and they did. So he beat his father's.
I didn't know he coached at Fisher.
Yeah. He's he's not the full-time coach, but
right.
So that's where he's at. And his wife, she teaches in Spencerport. But yeah, I'm as far as sports, and then Harry, of course, in the Marine Corps. He's the first of the grandkids to get involved in that. He went to Boston College, and that's where he met his wife now. But I stop and think what I sent my kids. Now, this is something that I pride myself on. Is my daughter Marcy first went to Casanova. That was a 2-year school back then. It was just strictly girls. Then she came and finished up at Brockport State. Next came Shelley. I sent her to Purdue. Yeah. But she did me a huge favor because after the first year, she stayed in Indiana and worked for Indiana Bell. So therefore, that made it, because Purdue's a state school.
Mm-hmm.
So the cost changed quite a bit there. Then Sarah, she went to Oswego. And then she got her master's at St. John Fisher. Kevin, on the other hand, he went to MCC. And then he's moved on from there. But my grandkids, I've had them go to Syracuse University, Colgate, then another Syracuse, Purdue, Boston College, Providence. Now I heard that George is looking at Connecticut. So, man, here I graduated from Hilton.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another thing. Where'd that come from? My kids.
Right.
I'm proud. I am proud. Again, blessed with what I have. Yep.
And Marcy works at the high school as an administrative assistant in the athletic department, and I run across her a lot.
Right.
I believe she was SRP of the year last year. She's highly beloved there. She's awesome to work with.
My wife, Kathy, actually did the payroll for the school district.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. She retired, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, probably.
Yeah. But
a lot of contributions to the village of Hilton from your family. I want to ask about Shelley a little bit because she's up in Connecticut?
Yes.
Okay. And
Sandy Hook. Newtown, Sandy Hook.
Newtown, Sandy Hook. And I hope they're recovering or whatever, because that was awful. But that's not what I wanted to ask you about, but you can go into it if you want. She has 5 boys. Was she able to go back to work, or did she work and have her kids at the same time?
Well, after she graduated from Purdue, her husband, Joe, came from Elkhart, Indiana, which there's a connection there with our family also. And when she graduated, she went on to work, and he went back to school. So this is before kids.
Mm-hmm.
They lived in Indianapolis in several different places. And then, I think Joe went to Butler. he carried on with his education there while she was supporting him. And then they started having kids, and they lived in Indy. He's into, I don't know, financial stuff. He's very intelligent man, and done very well for himself. And they moved from there to Connecticut because of his job. And she's kind of been she's raised 5 boys without any help. I mean, when I say out any help, she lives out in Indianapolis and places like that when she started it, having kids, and she had to do it all on her own. But man, she know how to handle it.
Tell me a little bit about, because I know she went through some health struggles.
Michelle right now has to, she still goes for treatments. She started out, she had breast cancer. She says, take them both. I've raised my boys. And that happened, and she got reconstructed. And then she kind of ignored doctors for a while, and then something came up, and they went back. And what she's dealing with today is what they call multiple myeloma, which is like a blood bone type cancer. And if it wasn't for Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, which I support mainly big time, picking up bottles and cans, people save them for me, and I send monies there in honor of her, because she is unbelievable lady. She's a fighter. She was born 2 pounds 9 ounces. She's been a fighter her whole life, but she's amazing. All my kids are amazing. So, but yes, she still goes for treatments, and the Sloan, at least I want to say once a month. And then she goes to a hospital in Westchester. But she's got such a support system in Connecticut with her neighbors, Aaron and Jeannie. These people are phenomenal there. Aaron, and they take her into the city back when she was real sick, and phenomenal people, neighbors. It just yeah. But if you look at Shelley today, you'd never think anything was wrong with her. Yep.
How many years has she been battling the disease?
Oh my, she's been battling now roughly maybe 6 years or more.
And it must be comforting for you, because you're out of state, that she has those neighbors like Aaron and whoever you mentioned, to take care of her.
Aaron and Jeannie are unbelievable. They are. The people there, yeah, goes back to when the shooting at Sandy Hook too. Them people united big time there. And of course, three of her boys. Well, Charlie was the main one in the school. He was just a couple of doors down from where it all took place. And the other 2 hadn't arrived yet. They were on the bus or something. And Joe, he was in England at the time on his way back home. And I get a text message or call. Shelley, that day I was home watching Law and Order. And I get this, I'll call you. My phone's dying. I'll call you. And I says, what's going on? And then I get a phone call from Kathy at the school saying a niece in New York City heard something about Newtown Sandy Hook shooting. So things started coming together. And so I turn it over on CNN News. And the first thing I see is Charlie being let out of the school. And I still didn't know what really was going on, but I found out later. That was the 14th of December. And we were going there for Christmas. And I text Shelley and I says, do you want me to come there? And she didn't respond right away. And then she says, no, you'll be coming here in Christmas. Don't worry, we're okay. Yeah, that was a day to remember. So, but they're all doing good. Charlie's doing good. He's graduating this year from Purdue.
It must have been comforting, I mean, on that day, December 14th, that you saw him coming out. Like, you knew with your own 2 eyes that he was okay.
Yeah.
And you don't have to delve into deep family secrets, but what was it like going that Christmas to see the family?
You wouldn't believe Sandy Hook. the people you couldn't get through the village. Donations coming in from everywhere because just before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I'd been to that school numerous times because the boys played baseball over there. And I actually took them to that school one or two times. So I knew the layout of everything there. But heading into that school is the fire department, where you'd go past the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine what them men went through along with law enforcement, seeing what went on in that school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get it's graphic, but
Right.
them guys. After we got there that Christmas, it was just the whole thing. The village you couldn't get through because of donations and just people coming. They'd shut the streets down, and yeah, it was sad. The whole thing was, but they've rebounded. They tore the old school down and made a monument out of it and built a new school. And they've moved on. But yeah, it was not a good thing. And a little girl just down the street from where my daughter lives, she was one of them, the family. And I've been there to parties, and the mother and father come to the parties. But yeah.
And Charlie's doing okay. You said graduating.
He's graduating from Purdue as we speak.
Are you going to go? Oh, you can't attend, obviously.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you had Sarah, she's a Spitfire, got a great personality. She's a teacher, right?
In Webster.
Yeah. And she teaches reading, is that correct?
Well, special stuff, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But she started out at, I want to say, Willink.
Mm-hmm.
Webster Willink, and now she's done a lot of stuff over there for the kids. She's involved big time, going on the trips, taking them to Washington. I mean, she's always doing something over there. And now, of course, I can't remember how many years she's been teaching, but now a lot of her students are coming back, and yeah, she's something else. Yep.
And then one of the days that I visited over there, you had Harper over there, and you were on the floor playing with her. Very endearing, at 79 years of age or whatever you were.
Yeah. Now I got Cohen and Laney over. I'm on the floor with Cohen all the time.
How old is Cohen?
Cohen just turned a year old.
April
5th.
And then Laney is
she's 3.
And so Kevin, big burly guy. I know he's a worker.
He's turning 40.
He's turning 40.
Yeah. This the 23rd of this month.
Yeah, they gonna have a party for him, or?
Oh well, yeah. There's supposedly something set up, and I'm the 27th. I'll be 82.
Okay, all right. Well, it's a good month for the Burritt family. And then Kevin, I know. Does he still cut lawns for help with people, or no?
Yeah, he's still doing a little bit. He's cutting back on that. He bartends for down to Foster's.
Okay,
like I used to. And he's also working over to the golf course.
Deerfield
for parties.
For parties?
Yeah.
Oh, so would he bust tables?
No.
Bartends?
Yeah.
I heard they really upgraded their banquet halls.
Haven't been in there, but yes. Yeah. But he just mainly works for the weddings that they have.
Okay.
I think he said he's got 6 of them coming up.
Okay. What's it like having, grandkids or children outside of New York State? Are you and Kathy able to go visit quite often, or do you drive? Do you fly?
No,
or is it hard with health situations?
We used to, when they were in Indy, drive out there 3-4 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
Long drive. And of course, my wife, Kathy, her whole family came from Lafayette.
Indiana, that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right there at Purdue. Her grandmother lived right across the street from the campus. And her uncles and everything. So when I dropped her off, I cried like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
She was, 17? And leaving her that far away from home. But when I got out there, Kathy's family, they were scattered. They were elderly, older people,
Mm-hmm.
some of them, most of them. And they had a progressive dinner, and we'd moved around from all their houses. And after I met them people, I said, she's in good hands out
Yeah.
there, because if anything were to happen, they were right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that worked out great.
And what about Marcy? Like, are all her children are out of have flown the coop, right?
Well,
or do they still have?
Bailey's in California.
Mm-hmm.
Ellie, they just moved. Her husband, Dan, has a job. They just moved. He's got a job at Duke University.
Okay.
And Simon's still in the area. He lives in over in Arundel, I want to say.
Now he coaches at Fisher. Does he do other work besides?
Yeah,
the
he's
coaching?
working out in Spenceport here for a company too.
Okay.
Something to do with fire suppressions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Systems. I see him every once in a while, but
Yeah.
yeah, they're all doing good.
Now, do your kids call you regularly, or how do you stay on contact? Or
Are you kidding me, Sarah?
well, you see two of them almost daily, right?
Yes,
with their
yes.
children.
But the communications with the phones today, texting and the technology, I don't know how to do it,
Mhm.
but we'll talk to Shelley. You can see her. And I don't know anything about that.
Well,
how
it's
we
called
get.
FaceTime and Zoom.
Yeah, well, I
Seb.
see. Once I left Kodak, computers were the last things I wanted to deal with.
You're still probably using the digital camera or the Polaroid, right?
Yeah.
Oh man,
The brownie camera.
yeah. Because when I was teaching fifth grade, we would always make a trip to the George Eastman house. And
Yeah.
It was a fabulous tour and the technology throughout the years.
I got to inspect the George Eastman house.
No kidding. Was it always up to code?
I got to see the behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
It's things that you'd never believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Unbelievable.
Well, shoot me one.
I looked right down where George used to sit down there. Yeah.
The house is really amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he had fresh flowers every day.
Yeah.
Tons of servants. The big, was it the elephant in that one room?
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend people go and visit the George Eastman house. What was it like being a fire inspector? And you said you visited pretty much everything around in the Rochester area. What was it like working with the people, I guess, is what I'm asking.
You just hit it right on the nut right there. I got to meet so many people. And there's not many people called Seb.
No.
But everybody knew me. But
Right.
I'd say, hey, how are you doing? Because I couldn't remember names. But it's been one heck of a career. The people that I've met and worked with, you couldn't ask for anything better.
Mm-hmm.
The talent. But going into other buildings, and I'd run into people from Hilton. Everywhere I went, and it's, people running the business. People. That's been my life.
Mhm.
People. And it was phenomenal. But I like it. Now Bob Johnson's, I meet people everywhere, and people know me, and I know them. I might not remember their names, but that's been a big plus in my life, is people around me, working with them, running the businesses and working at Kodak. No, that's been a big plus for me. People, all been.
Did you ever sit on any, well, you were in the fire department in both the village and at Kodak, and did you ever run for government office in the village or have any desire to?
No. I stay out of politics.
Yeah. Because you know everybody, and that, I don't know. You would have been good just because you're a people person. Burritt Road, like I said, I drive by it every day. That's named after your...
It goes way back.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I'm trying to think of the one Burritt. He lived more down near Butcher Road. MC. I want to say MC Burritt. And like the Burritt Homestead, there was several Burritts down there, but MC Burritt was one of the names. That goes. David Crum could fill you in on some of that. But Burritt named my grandfather Burritt, my dad's dad, wired a lot of houses in the village of Hilton years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was a little tiny monster boy.
Yeah.
And then there's another story because he went on and worked at the University of Rochester and ran the Psy-Up Salon. And as a kid, I'd get on a bus and go over to the University of Rochester, get off the library, and then I'd go over to the Sci-U. And I had full run of that campus. Of course, it's a lot bigger now,
Mm-hmm.
but my grandfather Burritt was involved with the freshmen mainly every year. But I'd get to go to the football games, basketball games, swim meets. I'd go see all that stuff when I was younger. And my grandfather Burritt, of course, he was a troublemaker at times. He'd get involved with these kids, and he'd be sitting up on before they built at Favre Stadium, he'd be up on the hill with all the freshmen. And he had a cannon, and he'd fire that up. He'd fire that up. This cannon got him in more trouble.
Yeah.
And they shot it off one time inside the Sci-U house and blew the windows out. But my grandfather Burritt he was just a small man, and he never went to college there, but he'd been there so long. And my grandmother, Edna, she did all the cooking.
Uh-huh.
She did all the cooking, but they made him a brother.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I hope he didn't have to.
Brother B, they called him. Brother B. Yeah.
Did he have to do any of the pledge activities?
No.
I guess blowing the windows out of the house qualified you for something.
Well, little did I know at the time, but there was a lot of stuff that was going on there pledge-wise that
Yeah.
I found out later on.
Right.
I'm not
At liberty to say anything.
correct.
You were saying he's a funny guy.
Yeah, he was.
And you also self-admittedly in the beginning said, I was late to school.
Yeah.
Any incidents that you could bring up to me that people might remember Seb for in high school?
Oh boy.
People that you paled around with.
Well, my problem was I'd always come in late, and I
Mhm.
had Ray Miller in the morning. I missed a lot of classes. And if it wasn't for the girls in the class to help me through that class, I'd still be in school.
Who do you remember?
And,
some of those girls that helped you with your studies?
Oh, well, Carol Sue Doring, and there was a lot of Diane Bacon.
Mhm.
There was.
Did you enjoy your days at Hilton High School?
Oh God, yeah! I didn't want to leave towards the end.
Was that
They forced me out.
Get that Seb out of here? Was that when school was at the West Avenue School?
When I started school, there was only one school. That was at Henry Street School, Community Center.
Who was your high school principal when you graduated?
Wayne Furness.
I've seen his names around some buildings. And of course, Marcy Garneau married Bill Garneau, whose father ended up being a principal. Our principal,
Yeah.
Harold Garneau, great guy. More things about Hilton. What was your memories of the Apple business and the Apple Festival creation in the village?
Oh, that's I forget the guy who was a barber that originally started that along with.
Was it Gosnell or was it
No,
Pat?
Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think he cut my hair a few times.
Yeah. But he was big in that. And that started down where Foster's is today. That was the original. See, I grew up when that cannon factory was running when I lived on East Avenue, where Hilton East is today. That used to be mountains of apples out there. They just come in, and it goes back to Mr. Birch, John Birch's dad, built the aqueduct, the water flowing so it could flow the apples into the plant. My mother worked on one of them peeling machines for years, and of course it was all powered by coal and steam, and the coal came from Hilton Milling, and the railroad, of course, went through there. Yeah, but that was an experience. I'd go over there as a young boy, and of course the neighborhood kids, we'd get down there with our willow sticks and have apple wars out throwing at lunch and apples at one another.
Right.
Yeah, until the guards chased us away.
So Hojack Railroad was up and running when you were a kid then?
The train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
I
was-
worked at the. I worked for a man who came from Bergen. I wrote his name down across the street. Now I can't remember it.
Sorry.
But he had a stroke. And I was there for the last of the trains traveling through. And I would clean the railroad station for him to help him out. But he came from Bergen, and he asked my dad if I from the gas station could he come over and help me, and I got involved in that right at the end when everything was shutting down.
What was it like having a train run through the village of Hilton?
We used to hop on it.
So it's kind of like a carnival ride?
We'd hop on it and take rides over to Hamlin and everything. That's Dave Rowley sometime too. They took the air off and moved the cars across over, blocked the road. David, when you see this, don't blame me for telling it. There was always something going on.
Right.
That we all hung out too down the trestle.
The trestle, yeah.
Still today.
Sure.
But that's where they were steam engines back then, before the electric. So they'd get stopped there. There was a pump, and they'd pump the water up into the engines. And then, of course, at the Hilton Milling, there was 2 silos with coal. That's where they'd get their coal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had full run of the cannon factory, the Hilton Milling. We had full run of all that stuff back when we were kids.
How, you're starting to hint at it, but how has Hilton evolved over your years? I mean, from being that where you were living
I go from
fire to the boom.
I go from the little village of Hilton was nothing but orchards and the apples, the plums, the prune, sweet cherries, sour cherries. It was fruit. And Luther, Jen and John on West Avenue, the Daisy Lee Farm, down back where the Jen and John Lodge is today. Luther raised cattle, but he also had fruit. And up on Overlook in the village and all them streets, that was all his orchards. We'd sit up there and eat sweet cherries until we got sick, looking down at the carnival ground at the time, because all them houses, that was all orchards. Yeah. Luther, Jen and John was quite a man. And every year when it came into season, when they were harvesting, he'd have a huge tent set up there right where the school is today. Quest, just before Quest. And yeah, sell fruits. And of course, the Burritt family is related somewhere along the line with the Colomer family. And the Colomers, of course, pretty much put Hilton on the map. And it was
with what? What business did they run?
apples.
Okay,
Fruit.
apples. And obviously Colomer Road is named after them.
And it was all, and all them houses along pretty much were all Colomers. But there's a connection there with Willie I. Smith. That's a relation to the family. That goes back.
Okay.
And Willie I's house is still on the corner. It'd be on the southeast corner of Colomer and Dunbar Road. And the house is still there to this day. Willie I developed a 20-ounce apple. He went to Cornell. And he would harvest them and send them to England. And that's what happened. They put them in barrels back then. And the ship went down. And it kind of put him behind things. So that's where the Colomers got tied in and took that over. But Willie I was the one that developed the 20-ounce apples. And if I'm not mistaken, he married my grandmother Burritt's sister, Bessie. I can't remember it for sure, but yeah, there's a connection there with Willie I.
What's that? So that white big building on Colomer at the end where attaches to, I don't know, Hill Road or whatever. What's that big white building that
You're talking about the cold
old
storage.
Hojack? Yeah.
The cold storage.
Okay, yeah. What was in that? Like what did
That was I used to go there with my dad when I was small, and in the back part that burnt,
yes.
they used to process sour
Okay.
cherries there,
Okay.
and they'd put them in these copper tins, 5-gallon copper tins, and then pour sugar. Then they were mainly used for making pies and stuff.
Okay.
But in the front, it was a cold storage like you've got in the village, where that's where they'd harvest apples and then take them and store them through the winter until it was time for them to be processed at the like Duffy Mott's over in Hamlin and in the Hilton Village. Yeah. But that was I used to know the guy. He lived right on Gorton Avenue. The owner. I'll think of it one of these days. But anyway, he ran it for years, and now it's, of course, falling apart. But
Right.
there was cold storages all the way up the Hojack, all the way to Niagara Falls.
Okay.
You'd go to Hamlin. Duffy Mott's was huge back in the day. Morton, cold storage, all the way up through. Yep.
What makes Hilton a special place?
I've never known anything other than Hilton. It's where I grew up, where I've lived my whole life. It's just been a good place to live. For me, it has been. I never had any interest of going any place else. Business-wise, we ran the business. Just been here my whole life. And it's been a great, great life here. Schools are good. Everything's good. That's why you see it now where the orchards are, you see housing. Grown. Like I say, back in the day, there was 5 grocery stores, and they all made a living, and they were all family run. You go from Orban Hazel Kenyon, the Hart store, across the street, on right at the corner there where it's an insurance place now. That used to be Otto Wolf's. Then where the bank is, that was Harold Tabor, the IGA. Then you go down to Herb Groutman, and then Bud Ingham. Herb Groutman and Bud Ingham ran the red and white. 5 grocery stores, and they all supported families.
And they were thriving.
Yep. We had a bowling hall. Before that, we had the theater.
Where was the theater located?
Well, it's vacant now, but it's right where Z's.
Yep.
Just to the west of that, there's an open spot there. Yeah, there was a theater. There was a 4-lane bowling hall after that, and then of course after the fire, L. Warden had a grocery store in there for a while because it had nothing to go by. Then it became a restaurant. Yeah.
When you say theater, was it an indoor theater? Or,
yeah. Yeah. So
and then
quarter, you go see a theater on Friday, 25 cents. Ray and Lorraine Elgire ran it. And then he ended up driving school bus towards the end there. And then when it changed over to the bowling hall, he drove school bus and stuff. But yeah, they lived right down on North Avenue.
Well, Seb, you've lived a blessed life. You've said things like talking about Terry and then Kathy, she gave me, and you talk about your daughters. It's very endearing to hear things. Do you have any things on a bucket list, any things that you want to accomplish? You know what I mean? Or just you want to keep living as long and happy and healthy as that you can?
Yeah, I need to keep busy. And like I say, the family's keeping me going now. And it's all good. It's all good. Yep.
Well, you've been a tremendous neighbor to my wife and my family. Keeping an eye on the house when we're out of town, harassing my daughter when she's missing her 3-pointers in the driveway.
Well, it still upsets me to this day because I'm really her coach. And all I read about in the paper is about her. She never once mentions my name. And then there's this other neighbor that chases me with a broom. That would be you.
Yeah.
Because
you get awful flirtatious with my wife, Carla. Any more final thoughts you got for us?
Nope, it's been a pleasure doing this.
It has been, and you've mentioned so many names that I'm aware of, and names of village streets. I might have you back again, some other time.
I got so much stored up in here.
You do, and I think this is a great start. Your podcast is called The Hilton Buzz with Burritt, and I just hope you keep buzzing for a long
Thanks,
time.
Mike.
And that's a metaphor, and literally.
Yep.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining me.
Yep. Thank you.
The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style. From the highs to the lows, every story just explodes. Mike's got questions on the go, diving deep from head to toe. Every week the guests align, sharing moments so divine. Stay with us, the pace is fine. Every episode you'll find